Why, hello my fine friends. It is once again time for the Onion Creature Book Club. Today's reading is Kirby Manga Mania, Volume 5. So I've talked quite a bit about this series, and if you want to check out the other videos, check out the playlist. Got 4 previous entries, and yeah, it's just a fun little series of mangas, and when they come out, I like to go over them and talk about them, just to see what craziness is contained therein. Because oftentimes there's some pretty funny stuff, and it's worth discussing and bringing to the attention of the public. I think this might be the last one for a while, because I looked on Amazon and it said Volume 6 was coming June of next year. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but that's the information that I saw. And if so, I think I'm okay with that. I've made, quite a bit of entries talking about these, and I feel like I have my thoughts pretty well known. So I'm perfectly okay with there being a bit of a wait, but until then, we'll just jump into discussing what's going on in this. Chapter 1, A Foolproof Way to Beat the Summer Heat. This is a chapter I can relate to as a Californian. We just had the hottest temperatures on record, and looks like that's happening in Dreamland too, because by God is it hot, and the Dreamlanders are feeling the heat. King Dedede is in search of respite from the high temperatures. Wispy Woods has become dried and withered, and the only one who seems to have access to water is good old Kirby. He's got his water ability, and so King Dedede requests that Kirby provide water to Dreamland's residents, and so he does, but it turns out he was overexcited and sent a big old wave and crushed everyone, and now they're in immense pain and suffering deeply as a result of Kirby's actions, as tends to be the case. Chapter 2. Kirby dives into the world of knowledge. In this chapter, Kirby is feeling mighty curious. He is questioning existence and reality as we know it. He just wants to know what's going on and keeps asking King Dedede what is the purpose. Finally, Kirby realizes that questioning things too much is pretty pointless and decides not to overthink things. That's the moral of the story, I suppose. In a way, it's true, I guess. Chapter 3, See How Much I Can Grow. Kirby is feeling discontented and wants to go through the different life experiences he has yet to and become a matured member of society. So Kirby realizes that all he really wants to do is kind of just hang out and eat food and enjoy existence. And as Dedede rightly notes, the characters don't belong to the manga or the author, so aging up the characters, that's out of the question, brother. That ain't gonna happen. Chapter 4, A Method for Making Up. King Dedede and Kirby are back to fighting, and that's because Kirby is texting King Dedede on a constant basis, which is deeply unsettling to the king, who simply does not have enough time to respond. And so they decide to part ways and not speak to one another. This goes on, and the king and Kirby form alliances with the Dreamlanders. Some are on King Dedede's side, some are on Kirby's side, and they try and rope Meta Knight into it, who tells them, hey, you gotta settle this by the sword. That's the only way. And so they do. King Dedede and Kirby enter the arena and have a battle which ends in a draw. But as a result of that draw, they're actually pretty friendly again. However, Kirby starts texting King Dedede again with far too many texts, as it turns out. So there you go. Chapter 5, Kirby's Song Changes the World. King Dedede comes to Kirby with some big news, that Kirby has been named the #1 amateur singer in the world. Kirby is so pleased about that news until King Dedede tells him, hey, you've been pranked. That was a lie. He was fooled, and now Kirby is in a state of depression. As a result of this, Kirby sings a sorrowful song which brings a tear to the eyes of many, as it is so beautiful. A video of this performance becomes viral online, and Kirby skyrockets in popularity. Finally, it's time for a performance, but now that Kirby is no longer sad, his singing has gone back to being unbearable and horrible to listen to. Oh dear. Chapter 6, King Dedede's Big Baby Transformation. Kirby is making a smoothie and he tosses a bunch of random stuff in, like a Maxim tomato, a warp star, an egg. This horrible concoction is seen by King Dedede through a window, who decides to steal it and consume it. And it was so profoundly awful that it transforms him into an infant. No one knows that it's King Dedede, and he's kind of just stuck in the body of an infant with the mind of King Dedede. And he is tormented as a child until finally he is given another smoothie by Kirby with similar horrible ingredients, which transforms him into his original form, and then he seeks revenge on Kirby for his mistreatment. We have a little break here where we get Kirby's Dream Doodle Corner, which we see some sort of conceptual pictures of Kirby's different facial expressions, which is pretty fun. Chapter 7, Kirby Hood Comes Calling. This is a Robin Hood inspired story, but it's, I guess, set in Japan. Kirby Hood steals food from the rich and gives it to the poor sometimes when he has leftovers. King Dedede is the noble dictator, and so he wants to catch that Kirby Hood. Kirby ends up stealing all his coins, and King Dedede has been robbed blind yet again. Then we have another Kirby's Dream Doodle Corner, where we see more concept art for Kirby. Chapter 8, Kirby Strikes It Rich. Kirby finds out that King Dedede is giving out a yearly allowance to the residents of Dreamland, and so he wants his fair share, which it turns out is 5 cents. Obviously, he is disappointed by this arrangement, so what he does is he decides to trade up from his coin to try and get some better stuff. So he trades up to an orange, which he then trades for a paddle and saves some ants, including the Ant Queen, who gifts him a fortune of gold coins, which Kirby uses to buy a large castle, which is in fact larger than King Dedede's castle. King Dedede attempts to trade up. King Dedede is not quite as proficient at trading up as Kirby was, and at the end, Kirby sneezes, which leads to the castles collapsing into each other. Immense destruction yet again has transpired as a result of Kirby's actions. Chapter 9, Kirby Becomes King. King Dedede has fallen ill with a flu, and in his addled state decides that Kirby would be the best choice to be his successor, and so writes up a will for Kirby to be next in line to be king of Dreamland. After he has recovered, he realizes what a horrible mistake that was, as Kirby is using his status to get favors and is just being a public nuisance in general. King Dedede decides to tutor Kirby on how to be king, but after seeing the hardship that entails, Kirby decides that he doesn't actually wish to be the ruler. Chapter 10, Chase the Big Scoop. In this one, we have a bit of a commentary on newspapers and tabloids and the media in general. King Dedede runs the newspaper and is using it to congratulate himself on minor events in his life. The newspaper needs better material, and so Kirby decides that he's up to the task and basically fabricates a bunch of different news stories in order to increase sales. King Dedede and Kirby come into a disagreement over a newspaper article in which King Dedede was not featured even though he went through a bunch of hardships. This causes infighting, and that ends up being the cover of the next issue of the newspaper, which does not sell well. And the moral of the story is, as Kirby says, I guess newspapers have to report the truth. Chapter 11, Kirby Musashi Appears. This chapter is set in the Sengoku period of Japan, the age of samurai rule. And there's Kirby. He's a samurai character, but basically all he does is eat a bunch of food, and he's really good at that. And King Dedede, he's a really harsh food critic. And so King Dedede challenges Kirby to a duel, which he thinks will be a sword duel, but as it turns out is a food eating contest. King Dedede takes his time to savor the food, whereas Kirby just eats everything whole. So he ends up winning and is declared the victor. Chapter 12, The Gentlemen Thieves of Dreamland. Kirby and his pals see a TV show of Arsène Lupin and decide to emulate him because King Dedede has stolen all of the fruits from all of the fruit farms and is hoarding them. So they don their gentleman thief attire, and in the rest of the chapter they infiltrate the castle. Kirby ends up inhaling all of the apples and grapes and pears and whatnot, and they escape with all the food, but then the next day they have to sift through the garbage heap that is contained within Kirby's gaping maw. Yeah. Our final chapter is Chapter 13, The Line, the Pudding, and Kirby. We start out with a flash forward in which Kirby is running away from a long and difficult battle, and he's got something in his hands. And in this chapter, we're going to find out how he got up to that point. Kirby sees that there's a new premium pudding, courtesy of Chef Kawasaki. However, there's a very long line every single day, and Kirby keeps getting distracted because waiting in line is very difficult, and there's always something that goes wrong, and he never quite gets the premium pudding. However, after 100 days, he finally gets the last one that they have for that day, and so he runs off into the forest with his pudding and decides that while it was yummy, it was simply not worth the wait. However, he still does get a nice nap in and is sleeping blissfully, which is a nice way to end the volume of this manga. Well, that was quite fun, wasn't it? What else is there to say? It's more Manga Mania, it's more craziness. If my information is accurate and the next edition isn't for quite some time, then this series will definitely be on hold until then. It's fun to talk about these sort of strange little things in the off-season of Kirby games. You know, we have a bit of a break until the next one, next spring, with the remake of Return to Dreamland. Anyway, more videos is coming in the future, of course. Haha, that's how we do things. Well, see ya.